Yeah, so it's very different on here than what I see here. So you all got a sneak peek. So my name is Bill Laboon. I am the head of education and grants at Web3 Foundation in beautiful Zug, Switzerland. And we're going to talk today about a term that we all have heard. We have probably heard many times just today about Web3. But what is Web3? So when a lot of people talk about Web3, they think of the metaverse or monkey picture NFTs, or even at a very deep level, blockchain. But I'm here to argue this is not Web3. This is a manifestation of Web3, but it is a means to an end. We don't use blockchain just because we like hash functions. Well, maybe some people really like hash functions. They just want to use data structures with those. But what we want is a change in the way people interact. This is what we're all here for. And in different ways, there are a lot of manifestations of this. NFTs are a manifestation of this, and a metaverse is, and blockchain, and financial technology, and DeFi. All of these things are just a change in the way we interact. So I'm going to argue that Web3 is all about ensuring that we have rules for these interactions that cannot be cheated. If you see some code for a smart contract on a blockchain, you know that that code is going to execute when you call it. Web3 is a way to keep secret what we want to keep secret and make public what we want to make public. And a way for us as a community, for the entities that use Web3, to come to an agreement on a history, on what actually happened. And we want to do this all without a centralized controlling entity. We want to be able to do it ourselves. We want a world of less trust and more truth, where we don't have to trust some centralized entity, some group, some government, some company, some whatever, to come up with the truth. As I mentioned, I work at Web3 Foundation, and we have a simple credo, right? That we believe in a decentralized and fair internet, where you are in charge of your data, your identity, your destiny. And this is Web3. So now we come back to blockchain. This is how we do it right now. There are a lot of other technologies that are related, that run on top of it. Sophie went over quite a few of these right before me. But we are using blockchain. But it turns out that any blockchain has trade-offs, right? As was just mentioned, I used to teach computer science and software engineering. And one of the things I always tell my students is that any software has made some trade-offs. If you make something extremely easy to use, perhaps it's not very secure. If the code is very, very fast and performant, it might not be easy to read and make changes to, etc. And we have similar trade-offs when we use blockchains. I'm not here to say anything good or bad about any other blockchains, but I think we can all agree that they have made some trade-offs that may not meet one's particular use case. A chain that has smart contracts available is also going to be perhaps a little, might be less secure and more complicated. Or a chain that has proof of work versus proof of stake. Again, I am not going to wade into any wars here, but I think we can all agree there are some benefits to one and benefits to the other. There is no one size fits all. But Web3, if we really want to come to an agreement on history, right? If we want to be able to make everything public and accessible to people, right, we need to have openness and interoperability between these blockchains. So this is the concept of Polkadot. So Polkadot is a heterogeneous multi-chain protocol with shared or pooled security and interoperability. So just provide a little translation there. Right? It's a set of blockchains that work together, that can talk to each other, and do it all securely. So with Polkadot, you can build your own what we call parachain, which is a fully functional blockchain which interacts with the Polkadot relay chain to provide security and allows these parachains to interact with each other. And when I say interact, I don't just mean transferring assets from one to another, although that is something you can do very easily with Polkadot. You have an NFT or some sort of token on chain A, you can move it over to chain B. But you also can call functionality of different chains. You can have a smart contract that reads values from some other chain, or even calls functions on another smart contract. Even using Polkadot, you can interact with external chains through built-in bridges that aren't, so chains that are not part of Polkadot. So the idea of Polkadot is that you have these custom-built chains, some of which are focused on being a layer for smart contracts, either EVM-based or we use a language called Ink with WebAssembly or other potential virtual machines or other systems that you might want to use, either permissioned blockchains, public blockchains, app-specific chains. We have chains that do all kinds of different things in the Polkadot ecosystem already, and that can interact with each other. So if you have a smart contract chain, perhaps you call an IoT, an Internet of Things chain to do something in the real world. Perhaps you have a DeFi chain and you want to get assets from some EVM-compatible chain. All of these are possible with Polkadot. Or you can build on one of these chains, your own dApp, or if you really want something at a low level, you can build your own chain. We provide a tool called Substrate, or the Polkadot SDK, which is a framework to build your own blockchain. This blockchain does not have to be a parachain. There are actually several teams out there that are building blockchains using Substrate that are not associated with Polkadot, but they realize that Substrate is a great tool, building their own solo chains or other chains. But with Polkadot, the Polkadot SDK with Substrate, you can take libraries and add functionality, add features, or remove features, or build your own features on your chain very easily. As a former web developer, I like to think of it as Ruby on Rails for blockchain, or Django for blockchain, right? Where you just say, hey, I want a treasury, so I just include the treasury library, and now I have a treasury. I want democracy. I want an identity palette. I want whatever, and I can just add this library and have it on my chain. So this brings us to how these chains get upgraded and how we come to decisions. So Polkadot has always had a focus on decentralization, on democracy, and we have actually just released OpenGov, which is our next generation of decentralized governance, where all token holders can vote without any intermediaries, without any what we call first-class citizens, essentially representatives. You can delegate your vote to people on or other accounts for different tracks. You might trust one person with making treasury decisions on your behalf, but you want to make technical decisions, or this person is very involved in staking, and so you'll allow staking decisions to be made by them, et cetera. So very cool new democratic system. And we also know, and as someone who's been in the blockchain world for quite a while, we all know that things change. Sometimes things that looked very cool 10 years ago, or we want to do them a slightly different way now. And so Polkadot and Substrate is future-proof because the code for the chain is actually stored on the chain. So we can have forkless upgrades just by voting to have new runtime code on the chain. So unlike a legacy blockchain upgrade where you have a fork, you coordinate all of the nodes to upgrade to the new software and at a particular block before a particular block height. In Polkadot, by following the chain, you are automatically following the new rules for the chain. So you're upgrading very quickly. All of this is not theoretical. Polkadot has been running live since May of 2020, so that's over 3 years now. It currently supports 46 parachains with room for plenty more. And has upgraded, the relay chain itself, the central chain, has upgraded 48 times already. So you can see here's a few of the parachains and the last couple of system upgrades. So it's very battle-hardened, battle-tested. It's been running. All of these different chains have done their own runtime upgrades, as well as the relay chain, for over 3 years. So this has been a very high-level overview of Web3 and of Polkadot. But if you're interested in learning more, I'm at the conference. Feel free to talk to me. I think I stand out in my bright shirt. But we also have a lot of assistance available if you're interested in building or learning more about Polkadot. We have a very large on-chain treasury where you can get treasury proposals, tips, bounties, etc. Web3 Foundation, where I work, we have a grants program. It's actually one of the teams that I supervise. So if you have questions, please, again, feel free to talk to me, or grants.web3.foundation if you're interested in looking online. We have, for people interested in building their own parachain or their own blockchain, we have the Substrate Builders Program and Square One. We have 2 courses up on edX, and 2 more coming by the end of the summer for building on Polkadot. The Polkadot Blockchain Academy, 4 weeks of in-person classes where you can learn everything about Polkadot and blockchain that you have ever wanted to. And the Polkadot Wiki, which has hundreds and hundreds of pages on Polkadot written by our technical education team at Web3 Foundation. So there's a lot of information out there if you are interested in learning more about Polkadot. So thank you very much. It's a very brief overview. But if you don't want to write down all of the specific things from the last slide, go to polkadot.network. You can find out all of this information. If you're interested in learning more about me, at Bill Laboon on Twitter. I post pretty regularly, or on LinkedIn here. And it's been great talking, and I hope to see all of you on chain.